welcome to the Big Bang. Today we're going out and about in the Big Bang mobile for a whole programme full of Big Bang big stuff.
And I'll be... Whoa!
Gareth will be finding out how to steer a hovercraft. We'll be investigating how many times you have to fold a piece of paper before it reaches the moon. And...
Whoa!
well, we'll also be inventing an ingenious way of making huge 3D pictures. Inventors are brilliant. Just think of all the great things they've invented. TVs, rollerblades, fridge magnets, brilliant. But for me, the best type of inventor is someone who comes up with an idea that's beautifully simple. The hovercraft was invented by a man called Christopher Cockerell nearly 40 years ago. He knew it was easier to move heavy things like people and cars if you floated them on something. So he worked out a way of floating things on air. I've made a model to show how a hovercraft works. What I've got here is just a square of thick card, and I've got a hole through it, which I've made with a pencil. And on top, I've stuck one of these. It's the top off a washing up liquid bottle, one of those that you pull up to make it open. And on top of that, I'm going to put my blown up balloon, try and get that straight, and it should act like a hovercraft. Woo! Yeah, there we go. There it goes.
Cockerell's simple but brilliant idea ended up looking like this. Hovercrafts come in all shapes and sizes, from the giant cross-channel ferry type to little sports models like this, but they all work on the same principle. I haven't got a balloon to generate my lift, I've got an engine which drives that huge fan at the rear. Now that fan does two things. It pushes some of the air underneath the hovercraft to keep it in the air, and the rest of the air it blows directly out to the back to give me forward propulsion. Now, to steer the direction I'm going in, all I have to do is turn this control column, and that moves a pair of rudders at the rear, and that should point me in the direction I want to go. However, floating vehicles don't steer as well as vehicles which have wheels on the ground, so it takes quite a lot of technique. Hovercraft are actually flying machines, and they steer a bit like aeroplanes. Because they're floating, they tend to slide around a bit, so I have to balance power and steering to make it go in the right direction. But the really brilliant thing about hovercraft is that they don't just hover over land, they hover over water as well. Balance is still important, so as I turn, speed up or slow down, I have to lean my body to keep the craft level. Not that hard. The only tricky thing, though, is stopping! Right!
Guess how many times you'd have to fold a piece of paper in half to make a pile of paper to reach up to the moon?
Thousands, probably.
Nope.
Well, how many?
42.
42? Never. It must be more than that.
If you could fold a piece of paper in half 42 times, it would reach to the moon. Where are you going?
I'm going to try it out.
You'll need a big sheet of paper. That's not paper.
Well, do you want paper or do you want big?
Big.
Well, there you go then.
This folding paper trick is all to do with numbers. Every time you fold paper in half, you double the thickness. And if you keep doubling up anything, pretty soon you've got a very large number. How many's that then?
Well, just 8.
Yeah, only another 34 to go.
I know, we would have carried on, but it suddenly got too thick to fold. But if we could cut it...
We'd be here all day, Gareth. Come on, come and have a look at the sheets of paper I've been working on. Instead of folded paper, I've got cut sheets of paper that I've piled up to make stacks. Now, this stack has got 512 sheets in, which is equivalent to folding a much bigger sheet 9 times.
Yes, but Kate, that's not as thick as my big sheet, which we only folded 8 times.
Oh, but you've got loads of air trapped inside it. If it had been cut, this is how high it would be.
Yes, but it doesn't actually reach the moon, does it, Kate?
But every time you add another fold, you pile doubles in height. That's 10 folds, 11 folds. Quickly you get much taller. 12 folds, 13 folds. I've left the paper in boxes because it's so tall. And 14 folds is nearly as tall as me. And 15 folds, well...
That's about the height of an elephant.
So if you add another fold, 16 folds...
Wow! It's about the height of one elephant balancing on top of another.
It's a fantastic tower of paper, Kate, but really, it hasn't reached the moon, has it?
Let me show you. If you could fold a piece of paper 21 times, the pile would be higher than Blackpool Tower. Fold it 27 times, and it would be up to cruising altitude for a jumbo jet. 38 folds, and you're in space, alongside orbiting satellites. And 42 folds would reach all the way to the moon.
Very good, Kate, but just let me say this.
What?
Well, paper, especially recycled paper, is very cheap. But rockets and rocket fuel are very expensive. But you don't see NASA using folded paper to reach the moon. I think I just may have proved my point. Kate, you know what this place needs?
If it was anyone else, I'd guess. But as it's you, Gareth, go on, just tell me.
A big picture of something.
A what? Where?
Well, a big picture of something standing up over there on the grass.
But if it's standing up, we won't be able to see the cricket, will we?
Don't worry, I have a cunning plan. Ah! Now that's handy. When you look at the picture from above, it looks odd, sort of stretched out. But from the side, it looks square. That's because when we were making it, we made sure the pieces of plastic followed the pattern on the video screen. So, from where the spectators are sitting, it looks like a square picture standing up on one end. It also does some funny things to your eyes. See if you can tell who's taller, me or Kate.
Right, what's next?
Well, in my diary it says nothing.
Nothing, but nothing's boring. They'll all turn over.
Oh no, nothing's really wonderful stuff. Kate, look, have a look at that.
What's this?
Well, it's a list of some things that we need to get for nothing, and you don't get that every day. Today's strange but true story is about what happens when you take away everything.
I'd better be getting on with that list of yours, hadn't I? Ooh, horses. Handy.
A few hundred years ago, there lived a German gentleman who had the very fine name of Otto von Guericke. Now, Otto was into all kinds of things, electricity, comets, but he was particularly interested in nothing. He wanted to mess about with a lot of nothing, so he built himself a container to put nothing in. But how can you contain it? When you think you've caught nothing, you've probably got something, even if it's only thin air. Otto invented a machine to suck out all the air from the container and leave nothing inside. It worked, but the problem was he couldn't get into the container to see what nothing looked like. No matter how hard they pulled, they couldn't get the two halves to come apart. The trouble was, on the outside, there was all that something trying to force its way into the container. However, on the inside, trying to force its way out, there was only nothing. Bit of an uneven match, really.
He still thought it was a good trick, though, and decided to show some of his friends. He called up his mate, Ferdinand III, who happened to be the Holy Roman Emperor.
Otto decided to demonstrate his nothing container to Ferdinand by getting two strong horses to try and pull the two halves apart. Prince, put your back into it, come on! The Emperor was very impressed, and the only way that they could open up the containers was by letting in some something. And that's the strange but true story of how Otto von Guericke didn't find a way of looking at nothing. Fit as a fiddle.
Yes, well, you're going to have to be for this final bit of big stuff.
So who am I racing against, Kate?
Ooh, just a couple of friends of mine.
I smell a rat. Let me get this straight. Now, the rules are, I'm going to race against two pals of yours over a distance of 30 metres.
That's right.
Now, one of them is going to be running, and the other's on a bike, and I can use any method I want to cover that distance.
Except your hovercraft, because you can't steer that.
All right, then. Bring him on.
Well, they're just warming up over there.
Kate, forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't that Yvonne McGregor, the British record holder for cycling individual pursuit?
Might be.
And the chap who's with her, that's Nigel Walker, isn't it? The Welsh international rugby star can run 100 metres in 10.35 seconds.
It certainly looks like him, doesn't it?
Right then. Ready when you are.
No problem.
They don't stand a chance. This machine will do 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds. It's a matter of keeping up with the Joneses, really.
On your marks, get set! Gareth lost because cars are heavy, so getting them up to speed takes time and energy. In the first few vital seconds, the runner has greater acceleration, and over a short distance, he'll always win. Yvonne comes last, but over a longer distance, the bike's better energy efficiency will beat the runner.
That's it, that's all the big stuff from this Big Bang.
Hope to see you again soon.
Come on, you, on your bike.